This is my passion. Dude, this shit keeps me up at night. You know what I mean?
Neel Dhingra.
I had Neel Dhingra.
We've got Neel Dhingra. He's a badass loan guy. He's a badass content creator.
You 10x'd your business from 300,000 to 4 million net in the past 5 years, probably well over that now.
If you don't create content, how are people going to find you?
I think a lot of us have this thing like you were meant to do something more than what you're doing right now. Later on in life, I would be doing things different always. Dropping out of college to go work in mortgage and then doing different things. And then kind of being, again, put into that box of like, here's how we make money in this industry. You got to fit in this, otherwise you don't. And then feeling like, shit, dude, I got to get out of this box. I got to figure out a way. And then that was when I started doing content marketing and doing more stuff online and video. And then that led to more success.
Neel, happy to have you and appreciate you coming on today. You've 10x'd your business from 300,000 to 4 million net in the past 5 years and probably well over that now. And you've not only proved it in your own business, you've helped hundreds of others in your Forward Academy, and then you even took an expert who is high at communications like Renee, and you 1000x his videos in the first 3 videos. What was that switch that he had to make that you guys helped him with?
So his is actually not unlike a lot of us, Andrew. And by the way, thanks for having me on, dude. I love connecting with you again. I mean, we originally connected, I think, probably 3-4 years ago, and it's been cool. Just
it's been a while.
It's been cool though, because we connected on social and then just stayed in contact. And then it was Clubhouse, and then it was TikTok, and then Instagram, and all the different things that have come and gone. But what is true with Renee, myself, even you, even the clients that you and I both work with, it's this thing of, hey, we have a lot of knowledge to share. Some of us have a lot more than others, but everybody's got something to put out there. And how could we share it in an innovative way? And sometimes the topics can be dry. Sometimes it could be a little bit boring, but there's a way you can do it to really grab attention. You know what I mean? Like, could you say things in a certain way that would grab it? Could we chop the video in a certain way? And so some of it's technical, like little simple things like video and audio and framing and all that. But I don't think that's it. That's the major piece of why you'd be able to reach way more people. I think it's the messaging. Like, what are we actually teaching people? And so teaching people things on social in an innovative way is the key to building like an insane personal brand. And it worked in 2018 when I first started, 2019, 2020, every year. I mean, 2023, halfway through the year, it's still a massive opportunity. So many people don't do it. And, we're always pounding the desk saying, man, you got to do this. It's crazy. It's so impactful for your business. You just talked about the financial opportunity that I had in my mortgage and real estate business, but then yeah, it's just from an impact perspective. Like, I think about this, if we don't put out the information, where's the consumer or where's the viewer going to get it? And many times they don't get the information at all, or they get the wrong information. So I think of it like this. If you are someone who has that knowledge to share, even if you think it's basic, it's your obligation to put it out there. Like, I think it used to be like a nice to have, it's online presence. Now it's your responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, if you're being, and it's a direct way of saying it, but if you're in any industry where you're in a client service business, real estate, mortgage, and I don't know, if other industries listen to this, financial services, insurance, whatever, and you do not have at least a presence, a personal brand with some sort of content out there, you're being irresponsible. Like, you're negligent at this point.
Yeah, it's been around for over a decade, and attention is kind of the name of the game. I know you know that.
100%. And I just seen like the power of attention. Like, you get respect, you get more deal flow. It just, what problems do you have in your life, in business? This would solve all of them, 100%. You want to build a team, you want to recruit, you want more money, you want more clients, you want whatever, respect. Like, it's all solved by building your personal brand and putting out content on the internet. And this assumes that you that you are good at what you do and you have the knowledge to share. Now, if you don't have that, I do think that you shouldn't fake it. Like, you should go build the skills, know what you're saying. Don't just talk for the sake of talking. You got to have your passion or skills or something that you could put out there. But, most people who listen to this type of content or are looking for stuff, they do have something that they should be sharing. They just don't do it for whatever reason.
So what was it specifically with the messaging, the communication? Because a lot of people think it's the fancy editing. They think it's jump cuts. They think they have to do this. Like, how do you grab attention of a consumer who is scrolling their feed on even the most basic topics, things that they may not even care about, like finance and real estate?
Yeah. So I think the way you do this, and what I found over years of putting out these videos, is it's like a puzzle, right? You got to have the pieces, and one of those pieces is decent quality. Doesn't have to be perfect, but they got to be able to see you. One of those pieces is audio. If you don't have a mic, if the audio is not on, they can't hear you. It doesn't work. The viewers should not have to work to see you, meaning like you shouldn't have to tap this all the way up and then you still can't hear them. You're not going to give anybody your time if you can't even hear them. You just scroll past. So that is one piece, but like you said, it's not the whole thing. The edit, the video, the audio, that's just one piece. The other piece is like, what are you saying? Is it valuable? And then the other piece is, how did you start the video? What's your hook? Like, how do you get people involved? So a lot of the topics, like you said, could be considered boring because they're niche topics. Meaning niche, they're only applicable to people in a certain period of time in their life or in a certain category. You want to give niche topics broad appeal. And so Renee might be talking about communication skills, but the way he started the video was maybe with the topic that everybody would want to learn, or that people want to save and share, or people within multiple industries would be more interested in, right? Mm-hmm. And then so with finance and real estate, same thing. I don't know anybody who is not at least somewhat interested in getting their money right, leveling up. Unless you're already a freaking 100 millionaire or billionaire, then maybe you don't care. But for the majority of the audience, they want to level up. They want to know about real estate investing, and they want to know about finance. They want to know about money, and what are the tips and tricks and hacks that you share. I was just doing a call before this where I was doing a training for 40 real estate agents and mortgage lenders. And I was just asked them a question. What are the things you wish your clients knew about this process? What do you wish the customer knew about buying a house or getting a mortgage? And then start making that list, And so those are the topics. Those are the hooks. Oh, I wish they knew that they didn't need a large down payment. I wish they knew that it was actually easier than it is. I wish they knew that if you don't write your offer this way, it could cause you big problems later on, and it costs you all this time and headache. I wish they knew about this loan program that helps you get in. I wish they knew you didn't have to have perfect. So you start writing these things down. Each one of those can be turned into a dope video for social media, right? And you're trying to just give the audience something simple in 30, 40 seconds that would work.
So you spoke to real estate agents. What would you say to the person who would say, well, I work in this market, or I work with luxury, or I only want to have these people, so I don't necessarily want a broad appeal from the video.
Yeah, you got to think about this. You want to target specifically sellers. You want to target affluent people. Well, unfortunately, that's a needle in a haystack, right? They do exist, though. So in order to have the opportunity to reach the few people that you want to reach, you need to reach more than just that group. And it's okay that 98% of the people that watch your videos and that follow you will never transact with you. That's the way it's supposed to be. So I think about this as like a tent. I got my tent pitched on a field. This is a massive field that's the size of like a freaking country. And that's social media, right? I'm trying to like, come in my tent. I've got some good shit going on here. I got some good information. I'll show you some personal stuff too. We'll have fun. Like, it's cool. Just come check out my tent. And I got people in there. Imagine you're walking across the field and then like you walk past some dude's tent and there's him and one other dude in there and there's no music on and it looks a little weird. And then you go to the next tent and there's a good crowd in there and there's some music on. It looks cool. And like, you might want to go in there. You know what I mean? So there's value to just having people in your audience, even though they just watch your videos, they engage with you, but they're not like they're not utilizing you as a service provider. That's cool. Like you actually want that. That's the problem. People don't, they're like, what do I get from all these window shoppers? Well, now people are watching your content. The algorithm says this content is good. So it shows it to way more people, exponentially more people for free, by the way, right now, because of the way the algorithm works, right? It's just going to show it to way more people. And then now by creating content for more than just your niche, you now have the opportunity to reach them. So you're reaching masses of people. In there is these few people who could benefit, who do want to learn. And you'd be surprised at how many times you reach more than just the niche. So for example, a video is about first-time buyers. A video is about these mistakes. And you're like, man, that's probably above, or that's way below what a fluent person wants to learn. So I'm not going to, I don't want to post that. Well, the affluent person appreciates it too. And they see it. They see that you're out there, that you stand for something, because they're most likely to see that content because the algorithm's showing it to way more people. Like the way the algorithm is right now, it's so hard just to reach your own followers. I reach maybe 10%, 5%, sometimes less than that of my own followers. Like they hit the follow button. They want to see Neel's content and I can't even show it to them. So, you have to try and figure out a way to reach more of these people. And that's the way you do it, is creating a little bit more broader content. And then when you think about like luxury, there's a way to position yourself in that niche. So you could show a lot of high-end property. You could talk about luxury most of the time and still reach more people, because what's cool about luxury is like even broke people want to learn about luxury homes. There's those memes of like the dude's freaking browsing a $2 million house and he's got $14 in the bank. Like that's real. People love that shit. So it's cool just to make people are just interested in higher price stuff. And so you could definitely position yourself with high quality luxury stuff, and then you would appeal to that group as well.
Yeah, I think of like Alex Hormozy. I think about like Ryan Serhant. Ryan Magan even talks about this. It's like everybody talks that I don't want virality. I just want the few people. But a lot of the times, for example, like Ryan Serhant, he mentioned at our juniors event, it's like it wasn't necessarily the $10 or $30 million buyer that saw the video, but it was, I think, like the daughter that showed it to the mother, which showed it to the husband, which ended up buying the house. Probably butchering that a little bit.
Or it's like more attention. Oh yeah, I've heard of that person. That's brand. And so it's like, just you can leverage it for so many different things. Yes, somebody could see the video and they could transact with you. That's like the basic first level. The next level is like, are you leveraging this in every email that you send out? If I'm emailing you, Andrew, I'm like, yo, nice to meet you. Here's the next steps on working together. By the way, I create a lot of content on Instagram. Let's connect there. So I'm not like burying it in the bottom of my email signature. I'm like, no, dude, this is like a call to action in the body of the email. And then you click on that. And then you see these dope videos and you see you've built an audience and have a personal brand. Your opinion of me went from 0 to pretty high fast in literally minutes. And I haven't even spoken yet to you, right? So are you leveraging it that way? And so there's so many different ways you could be leveraging it. That's just one of many, many different ways. But like, I think people kind of don't see all the upside. They just see the basic thing of like, I'm making a video and I want someone to reach out to me for that video. That's very basic thinking.
I agree. Oh, so you mentioned a little earlier that content solves a lot of problems that you have in business. What did content growing your following, getting more attention, solve? What problems did it solve for you?
So I was just stuck at a certain income level. Wanted to scale my business, but couldn't attract, the right type of people to work with, as far as either referral partners or even employees, different types of things. Just everything was a struggle. So I found myself stuck there, and there's ways to get through that, but I just wasn't putting myself out there. And from a networking standpoint, I didn't have the right relationships. I would see people winning in my market that were worse than me. It's like, and so then I realized it's not about who has the best product or service. It's about who is known. And I was like, shit, I'm not known. I don't even have an account. So I better freaking figure out how could I get known to more people. Now, by the way, some people will say, dude, I don't give a shit about social. I kind of hate it. I don't like all the videos and this addiction to social media and scrolling. Dude, I don't like all the things on social either. But if you know of a better way, please let me know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know of a better way to get freaking someone to see me thousands of times a day, or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, or have something pop off. by the way, all for free, and then
Yep.
like it just took your time. So the key is like, if you have another way of making sure everybody knows what you do and how good you are and how you could help them, do that. But for me, as of right now, this is the fastest way to do it. And it's the coolest thing because anybody can technically do it. It's just a matter of getting comfortable, like I'm sure when you did these podcasts in the beginning or when you did content, even me, I was like, so like, just cringe. Like, the content was so bad.
Oh
And,
yeah, it
you
was
just,
terrible.
yeah, you're just being robotic, you can't even freaking, be yourself. It's just doesn't flow, and that's just how everybody starts. So don't think that it's not for you because it started that way, because that's how everybody starts.
Are you more introverted or extroverted?
Introvert for sure. Like I was the last guy to do video. Like I didn't want to do it or do content marketing or any of this stuff. And then I just realized from a numbers, I'm like a nerd, from like a
Yeah.
mathematical standpoint, it makes sense to be putting, just, it's just the arbitrage, like, like you said, attention is the currency. How do you get more of that? How do you get more respect? So if there's, you think about like, okay, there's these people that know, like, and trust us, and they know these great things about you. You do a great job for them. You're knowledgeable. You have great service. You take care of them after the sale. You really care about your clientele. Cool. That's just the people who transact with you, and maybe like their friends and family, if they tell anybody about it. That's it. That's not enough to really build a big business. So I had that like
Yep.
small sphere, but if you're just relying on that, you can never really go to the next level. So I needed to get like way more people into my sphere. So I decided to pitch a tent on social media.
Yeah, and the one thing I admire you is like you are a huge data person, so you follow where the data goes. You follow what actually gets results. And what so being an introvert, you could sometimes get like I'm a little more introverted, and there's a lot of people that are more introverted, especially in sales. Uh, what did you have to like overcome to become great on video?
So I think so here's the deal. In the beginning, there's a hack everybody can use. You could just capture conversation. So like I'm just talking to you right now. We're recording this. That's content.
Yep.
I don't have to worry about like how do I look on camera? What do I sound like? Like you get in your head like what are the people going to think this is dumb? So one way workaround is just to capture conversation, because a lot of people are really good, and I was this way. I was really good talking to a client one on one, but like when I looked at the camera or like looked at my phone, I was like, dude, I sound like shit. Like not even being myself, just being really weird. So I think that's the hack initially. Just maybe just mic up and capture a conversation. Pretend the camera's not even there. So it's like reality TV, and then chop it up. But what I really noticed the results came is like when you look at the camera and you teach something, because when you're not known yet, you're really being judged on like, what am I going to get out of this video? Like, one common mistake people make is they look at the people who are that already have influence, and they want to copy that style of content. Like, for example, Gary Vee or somebody, people who are already well known. They've been doing this for decades, and they're like, well, dude, Gary does this type of comment, do that. Problem is, people know, like, and trust him at scale already, and they don't know you from anybody. So it's really difficult for them to take their time to give you their attention. So you have to earn it. And so I think that's the key of like, I figured out, okay, I've got something I could teach. Let me try and teach that, and then play with how do we start the video, and what's the ideal length of time, pacing, delivery, all those kind of things matter. It's all like little tweaks, and then even just adding a little bit of music to your videos, and just trying to get more people, get better at communication. And so in the beginning, I think it's just like find workarounds, and then just at some point it just becomes about the reps. Like the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. I'm sure this is a problem for a lot of people. Public speaking, for example, I wanted to do more talking and teaching and public speaking. I was terrible at that too. I would freeze up, mouth goes dry, just really robotic, and not being comfortable on stage. So then how did I get better at it? I just started doing more of these, like 10-person talks, even just presenting to a small group. Then you work your way up to like bigger and bigger from there.
Yeah, I remember my like first, it was the last one in a while. I was speaking in front of like 500 people and I froze up. I was super nervous, heart was pumping, and I've never spoken to anyone like that many people, and I
Yeah.
thought they were all above me, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm on stage speaking about what? And I remember what someone told me is like, just remember that you're not speaking for yourself, you're speaking for them. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
That's true. You like it's like you're helping them.
Yeah. So
You're not there for you.
yeah, I was curious. So Neil, everyone sees like the success and they see like the numbers, your business, your following, your influence. But what I've come to realize is that's way past the point. Paint me a picture. If I didn't know who you were, what context would I need to know about you earlier in life that shaped who you are today?
I think it's like it's not really that much of, I think of maybe I was thinking about this with Renee the other day, actually. You brought up Renee. He says something happens to you between the ages of 9 and 13, something in there, where a belief is formed. And then that like leads you all the way into adulthood and kind of what you do and what your passion and purpose is. And it could be that you learned it then during that ages, or it could be that you wanted to do the opposite of what you learned during that time. And so for me, it's like immigrant family, like parents telling you to conform, go to school, go to college, get the best. Like I'm from an Indian family, immigrant family. Like we just put our head down and work. Don't really don't talk to strangers. Don't like don't make a scene, and just put in the work, study hard, go to college, get a job like a doctor, lawyer, like a respectable career, finance, whatever, work for like a big company, and then put your money in 401k, buy your house, and then retire. Like that's the path that everybody's on, right? So for me, like if you think about that's what's kind of beat into you at that time. I want to be now. I want the opposite of that. Like I feel like that's like a box I don't want to fit in. So then it's like later on in life, I would be doing things different always in school, in high school, in college. And then dropping out of college to go work in mortgage, and then doing different things, and then kind of being again put into that box of like, here's how we make money in this industry. You got to fit in this, otherwise you don't. And then feeling like shit, dude, I got to get out of this box. I got to figure out a way. And then that was when I started doing content marketing and doing more stuff online and video, and then that led to more success. So I think it's kind of like, like for me, it's nothing wrong with what my parents taught me. Like that's just what they were learned from their parents, So
Yeah.
it's just how I was brought up. But then that led to me wanting to do things completely different than that.
So growing up with immigrant Indian parents, what did they think of you quitting school?
Oh, they were pissed, man. It was like, they're like, you're crazy. This is terrible, all that kind of stuff. But in the end, now they're fine. It's just, they just didn't trust it at first. They're like, man. But I think it was quickly like, they kind of realized, oh shit, Neil's doing something different. And my brother, same thing. These guys are figuring out their own path. And then they kind of like laid off a little bit. So I think it was just a matter of like proving that there's another path. It's not just the higher education, get a good job, save all your money and retire. Like that's just one path. There's nothing wrong with that path, but there's other ways nowadays too.
Yeah. My dad was corporate and my mom was too, and that's kind of what they both know. So when I kind of left college, they actually were trying to get me to stay. They're like, no, we'll pay you to stay. And I was like, no, this isn't right. I need to get back on my path. And that's when I went back to sales full time. So were you always good at sales, like in mortgage? Like, did you just start off successful in the earlier years?
No, man, I didn't really do much. Like in the beginning, I was doing more of the operations stuff, like back office stuff. So I used to do a lot of like, like processing of and finding ways to make the system better, to make the process more efficient for clients, all that kind of stuff. And then along the way, kind of just through understanding the process and communicating with clients, then got better at sales. And I took it from more of an approach of like just trying to really, we don't really hard sell people in our industry. It's more of just like communication. Like, are we just trying to help more people and make sure they understand and then following up? So, like, as far as sales go, it's different when you're in an industry where you have to like close people and like get them to sign on the dotted line
Yeah.
to buy your product or service. But like in real estate mortgage, it's more of just like, trying to be more helpful and then get people to continue working with you. And so to do that, I found it was pretty much the formula was just to do great service and then make sure more people know about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people do the first part, but then they don't do the second part. Like, how do we get more people to know about the stuff that you do that's good? And then there's some people who, like I said in the beginning, don't even do the first part. So I think that part you got to get down first. Like, do you really have a good product or service? Do you really help clients? If you don't, then it's going to be really hard to like differentiate yourself. You don't have a value proposition, all that kind of stuff. So I think that part in the beginning, I didn't know that. I just thought it was like everybody else. But then along the way, I kind of figured out, oh, well, I take a more detailed approach to this. I find solutions for my clients. I'm like helping them out. So I'm like, okay, shit, I am better than some of my competitors, because I do things different. So that's my competitive advantage. Okay, now I
Yeah.
can move forward, like making sure people know about this. So letting people know literally on the first call, here's what I do different than my competitors. Here's actually something that, a lot of the industry does that I don't agree with, but and how I help people and that works. And then now they kind of, you just stand out more. So it's just finding ways to stand out.
Yeah. So working in the back office and like working on the systems, fine tuning like extra 1%, how did that kind of help you? Because a lot of people, for example, in real estate, being a realtor,
Yeah.
every realtor says that they have the best service.
Yeah,
But it's like,
100%.
how do you actually quantify that? Do you have like numbers to back it up? Do you have proof? Like, how do you quantify that difference?
Yeah, for me, I knew it was different because I would be like winning, in terms of like within the company rankings and things like that. So, nothing really kind of confirms things more than results, so that's
Yep.
why numbers are important, like production numbers and all that, because that's kind of proof that you do a good job. But then after that, it's more like metrics of like, what are the feedback you're getting from clients, from client reviews? Do you get unsolicited feedback? Do like people message you and tell you, And so that's kind of the way I kind of knew, when people were like, man, dude, thanks so much for taking the time. We're really grateful for what you did and, all this. And then I'm like, I didn't even ask. I mean, obviously I ask for reviews all the time and that's how I built them. But then, when you get some of that stuff unsolicited, that's cool. That's really good feedback. You're on like kind of the right path when people are telling you that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you're right. Everybody says that the top producer, the best realtor in the market. It's the same. Like, I don't know anybody in the industry who's not a top producer at this point. So at some point you got to be honest with yourself. Are you just bullshitting, or do you really provide? Do you really go above and beyond for clients? Because it's okay to just be there for like the bull rush. There was a period, multiple periods in this industry when it's been easy to make money, and it's kind of like in any other industry, there's periods of time when there's a lot of people in the industry and you make a lot of money. You can be honest, be like, dude, I don't really like this, but it's a cool way to help people and make money, and I'm just going to do it, and that's it. And I'm not going to really build a brand and do all that stuff because I'm just here to make a quick buck. But that day has passed for sure, and people are feeling that now because now it's like there's less transactions. There's way more people in this industry in real estate and mortgage. Like we have a peak number of people. We hit a peak last year for the number of people in the industry just as the market was turning down. It's like it peaked. And so there's so many people in the industry and there's half the number of transactions.
Yep.
So
It's going to get squeezed.
who's going to get the deals? The best people. And then there's not enough for the other people to fight over and scrap over. So like, how do you get in that category? You got to be good. Before there was enough for everybody, and now there's not. So I think it's no longer. That's why I said in the beginning, it's not an option anymore. Like it used to be like marketing yourself. Yeah, nice to have. I don't really care about it. I'm doing just fine. Now people are like, man, really need to get on this. And that's why, dude, it's so important to be doing something regardless of what's going on in the market. So when it was freaking crazy, I'm still building my brand, putting out content, staying active, building relationships. When it's slow, I'm still doing it. Have something like, because this business is all about like ups and downs, but if you can do something regardless, you can tweak it. You can tweak your message. That's cool. Like you were just saying, a lot of the content at my event this year will be more like how to thrive in a tough market. Like, so the messaging changes, but the concept is still the same. I'm not canceling the event because the market's slow. And conversely, I was doing it just as big when the market was busy and when it's slow. It's the same, if not better. It's just like, I'm not worried about what's going on. I'm focused on what I can do and what I can control. Because if you're just a pawn in the game, you're like, fuck, man. Like the government could do something tomorrow. The market could turn. Something could happen. I'm out. And so unless it's some crazy thing where it's a pandemic and it shuts down everything, like other than that, I don't want to be affected by like all these other things. I just want to do what I'm doing.
That's the crazy thing about sales is like when you're in sales and you're a high performer, it's this constant month over month. You have to keep building. It's like you're on this constant treadmill, but you building your brand is taking you off that. You building your team is building something that's more consistent.
And I'll say this, bro, it's like this. How many people in this industry, even you feel in what you do, it's probably across a lot of things, you feel like you're running like on that treadmill, and you get freaking tired. You know what I mean? It's like, and if you stop running, your business and your income stops.
Yep.
And how much is your business worth? Well, it's worth as much as you have produced this month. Well, what about all the 10 years of hard work and I guess that's knowledge that you have in your mind, but it's not really worth anything to anybody. So your business is worthless. It's worth what it is this month. I'm like, damn, that's harsh, man. It's like you're as good as your last month's production. You're as good as this month's pipeline. And that's the truth of it, right? So at some point, we have to start building something that's bigger than this month's stats. Like at some point, there has to be, yes, you got to work on like getting deals done, closing deals, getting paid this month. The numbers for this month are really important. Like I don't want you to ignore that. But at the same time, there's got to be something else you're building over time that's compounding. It's getting more and more valuable. So what's the value of my personal brand when I first started? Probably nothing. As you get going, what's the value? Well, you get better. It's more worth, like now, what's the value? Well, I could do any number of things to generate business. Yep. And I get business sent to me. And I'm not even freaking where I want to be. Like I've just started to see some really cool things over the time, but like, I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I'm just saying I've seen proof of this working even earlier, like even with 1,000 followers, like getting more business opportunities, getting deal flow, using my social to leverage it, getting a relationship. Like those are all things that would not be possible if you didn't put yourself out there. So I just think of it like that. It's got to be like, we got to do the day-to-day things, but then we also need to be building something bigger. And the one brand everyone can build is their personal brand, because that's the thing you have control over.
Yeah, brand is a compounding asset as long as you keep working on it. Whereas like in sales, you have to constantly get the next deal. So I was curious because there's a lot of like high-performing salespeople, and you've been able to make that switch from a high-performing salesperson to a leader, and you've been able to make the switch and teach other people. So you've proven your leadership.
Yeah.
What did you have to learn to become a good leader? What did you have to change?
So it's not really like, I think of it this way. I didn't really change anything from, like I didn't intentionally do it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I just started to do what I was supposed to be doing. And so what I found is the best leaders lead by example. So like, for example, if I thought, we need to be doing this to get more business, I'm like, I need to be doing that, so I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this tactic, strategy, marketing myself, put in the work. Then other people would ask for the help and advice, and you can attract more people to your team, and then you can kind of lead them and inspire them. So I just kind of fell into it by accident, by doing what I was supposed to be doing and then helping other people. But then along the way, I realized like if people are consistently better off, or feeling like they're inspired to do more because of what you're doing, then that kind of puts you in that leadership role. So then I was kind of like, just the way, same way, like you get that kind of dopamine from helping clients and getting a good result, or helping a follower online, or helping advise somebody, like that same thing you can get from leading a team of people, and or leading a community online or whatever it is, right? You're just helping people, and then you're getting that thing. So I think a lot of us have this thing, like you were meant to do something more than what you're doing right now. And for me, it was like teaching other people. So I didn't really think it would turn into a business, but I just love helping teach, like what my passion is. So for me, reaching more people, marketing, digital content, all this kind of thing, this is my passion. Not like just like a passion where you just say it. It's like, dude, this shit keeps me up at night. You know what I mean? Like I try new things. I'm freaking obsessed, right? So
Yeah.
if that's my obsession, and I love talking about it, and I love teaching it, then I'm going to get a lot of fulfillment out of that. So that's going to come through. And then naturally you're like, oh dude, that Neil's a good leader in that thing, because, you're just super into it. So, I wasn't really good at teaching in the beginning, but then kind of got better just from learning from other people, like my coaches and mentors, and actually trying to get better at it. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, and you have a really big mentality when it comes to giving back, helping others. And I've noticed that you said your father taught you about being a good person. Did that translate over to who you are today?
Yeah, just like just the stuff you learn, values, core values you learn from your parents, of like helping other people, being that person that is kind of like an example for your siblings or for your family, things like that. Like kind of you start to like implement in business and in culture. So that was cool to see. And then learning from your mistakes too is important. Like I remember I make mistakes all the time. Like I made one this week, you know what I mean? Like today. So as long as you're like getting better from them, then I think that's the key, is just like improving on that stuff.
Yeah. And I know you got to run. So this last question, you being married, running your business, working with a lot of people, having 3 kids, balancing all of that, what are you hoping you can teach your kids throughout your life? What do you want to leave them with?
So I was just thinking about this. I was talking to my son the other day, and like they don't really want all of the, obviously it's cool to be able to provide things that they never had, as far like that you didn't have when you were a kid. It's cool to provide the financial stuff, but like a lot of the things is more like teaching them things you wish you knew, So if you go back to when you were freaking, coming up as a kid, like what are the things you wish your parents would have told you about how life works, how business works? So those are kind of things like I really want my kids to know, because that's what's really going to help them in the real world, like street smarts, things like this, communication, how to get, how things just really work, because I didn't know that. And it's no fault of my parents. They weren't in that world. So they didn't teach that part to me. They taught me a lot of stuff, but they didn't teach that stuff to me. And then, so that's the stuff I picked up on my own. So now if you could take those skills, give them to your kids, they're just going to be way better off. They're going to have a competitive advantage. And teaching them how they can earn their own success. You know what I mean? Even if you are affluent, obviously your kids get a lot of cool things from you. And but at the same time, you can still teach them to give back, to, work hard and do all these things. So yeah, I think like teaching them the things I wish I knew when I was their age is the key.
That's awesome. And I want to thank you for being a leader and changing the game in real estate. And thanks for sharing everything that you've learned.
Yeah, dude. And thanks for having me on. I know we've been trying to get this done for a little bit, and appreciate like you staying in the game and doing all this stuff.